This is super sand squeamish, currently getting rained on. I'll be a little damp for this recording. That is really weird to say, but it fits well because we will be reviewing the Sky Road Zone, which is very cloud aesthetic themed. And I think I got a little mixed up with the last review, as this is the stage and stages that have more of those casino elements. Anyways, this is where I play a stage, Sonic of course, and currently from Sonic Lost World, and then review it, talking about its highlights and opinions and things like that. Now, that being pointed out, here's the stage. So we'll keep this quick because this stage is fairly simple. This is the Sky Road first stage, 5th area of Sonic Lost World, and it's a simple in terms of how to accomplish it, left to right platform stage, much like the classics. And the elements here are very bright colors, casino themes, lots of springboard hidden platforms, and I would say the background is the most confusing concept. It can get a little tricky and super fast. And I don't know using any color powers. Now that being said, there isn't really much to say about the stage, although it is very nice on the palette and the eyes are, it's very comfortable to look at. It's a nice comparison from the drab green from Silent Forest and a good transition into the faster paced, I would say, gameplay that this area in general brings, especially leading up to that iconic boss fight. That guy does look like he's from Pokemon. Now with that being said, there isn't so much to say, but the highlights that I would have to say about the stage are, again, the casino elements, which is a classic feel from all the Sonic games up to now, especially in colors, are a strong point for this stage. It's always nice to see Sonic with his simple, blue, white, and gold standing, surrounded by almost every color I could think of. It's really nice when things like that don't feel too aggressive, especially when the concept is to go fast and essentially be a blue blur. Now, I wish there was more to say in terms of challenge for this stage. It's more or less a nice entry note into the area and isn't the most difficult for anyone to pick up and play. And it feels like a nice kind of pacer in between all of the challenges, much of the roller coaster rides that we've had up to this point. It isn't the most difficult, and it also is fairly easy and relatable, but at the same time, it is kind of tricky to say that there is a lot standing out about it. Now, the further stages in Sky Road Zone do stand out and have lots of details to talk about, so we'll save it for that. With that being said, I really want to have more to say. I didn't enjoy it too much, but I didn't hate it. It wasn't the hardest stage. It wasn't the most fun. But again, it was a good breather, and in terms of doing it for content purposes, it was very stress-free, which, unlike some of the other stages and parts of this game, anyways, yeah. So, if I were to rate this as a Sonic stage in general, I would say it's a 6. I would put it as a 10 in terms of aesthetic, but we're not going to go to every category. We'll save that for our later Sonic videos and game reviews in general, when we get to that point. Did you just get a teaser for future content? Anyways. Now, that being said, as personal opinions and how I felt with my playthrough of it, I would put it at a 10. That's not really true. I would put it at a 7 or an 8. I don't want to go lower than that due to the fact that there isn't really anything wrong with it. It's just not exactly, there's just not exactly anything right with it either, which sounds weird, but it's kind of true. It doesn't feel too broken in any aspect, but it's also kind of fun. Now, that being said, if you're a Sonic fan, I do apologize if this was shorter and you were expecting more of an in-depth review. But this gives you the perfect opportunity to point out your own opinions of it, share, like, subscribe, or maybe tell me what you thought about this stage yourself, or how you played it, etc. Now, with that being said, if you're a Sonic fan, I'll say it one more time. Feel free to like, subscribe, share if you must, or leave a comment. Whether it be related to the gameplay, my opinions, your opinions on it, Sonic things, or maybe future Sonic content or video content in general. Now, that being said, I try to keep the shenanigans in 6-7 to a minimum. We don't want this to be Sonic brain rot yet. So feel free to say whatever you want, whether it be random or not. But if you're a Sonic fan, yeah. And if you're not a Sonic fan, same thing applies. Feel free to like, subscribe, share, or leave a comment, whatever it may be related to, whether it be Sonic or just my content or opinions in general. And since I can't leave it out and I got it mixed up in an order, if you simply just like my voice, well, here it is. Feel free to listen, do what you want with this video, hopefully review it in your own way, or maybe it leads you to go play some Sonic games if you're a Sonic fan or not. Maybe you are now. That's the whole point. I hope you enjoyed, and if you're a Sonic fan, have a Sonic day. And if you're not a Sonic fan, be one. No, if you're not a Sonic fan, have a day, whatever that might be. And yeah, Super Saiyan Squeamish out.
Take it easy.